Hi, we're here at High Five Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We're gonna go check out the space. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, Gavin, how you doing?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Man, it's so nice to be back. Man, this has changed quite a bit since the last time I was here.
Yeah, we've been doing some work.
Yeah, it's I always love this space because it's like a really comfortable lounge and hangout spot for artists to just kind of come out here. It's
Yeah,
and it looks like you've added artwork, which is awesome.
yeah. This is all my mom. We've done an art show for her,
Okay.
and we just kind of left some of the stuff that she hadn't sold, and it's been great. So then people can buy it too.
That's
when they
awesome.
come through, and hopefully get some more local artists from the area, to put some of their stuff up as well. So
Yeah, and I love the wall too.
yeah, so this is sort of the, we're High Five Studio, so, high five the wall. So, different projects or different people that come through, we try to get them to put their handprint and sign the wall, and definitely have to have you.
All right, I'm up for it.
Yeah.
I'd love to have, it'd be an honor to have the handprint on the wall.
You gotta always have a good studio dog,
Yeah,
so
that's
Sunshine's
Sunshine.
usually running around.
That's great. And you got the bar back here, pool
Yeah.
table, ping
Yeah,
pong
pool table, which also right now we're more of a feeling ping pong.
Yeah,
right
I like
now. But also do a pool, just to have some stuff for clients and their friends, and we also do some other events and things in here. Birthday party, we do some wine tasting stuff, obviously art gallery shows and things. Space is big enough to do all kinds of stuff. So.
And this lounge was one of the spaces in here that we ended up keeping the skylights.
Yeah.
I remember early
Yeah.
on, we were in the design, we were trying can we keep the skylights in the live room? But then it got a little bit complex and gonna get
Right.
expensive, and so we took them out of there. But
Yeah,
in
but it's
here,
nice to
having
at least
some
have one,
natural
especially
light.
you spend a lot of time in the studio, no windows. You get to come out and even just use the restroom, get to peek out at the sunshine a little bit. So yeah,
That's
it's nice
great.
to kind of
That's
open
great.
up the space. And I got also a present for you too.
What is
I
that?
got the jelly beans, and how much you love.
That is awesome. So there's a story behind these jelly beans, is that one of the first dinners we had together in Fort Wayne, Indiana, when we were there for a Gear Fest for Sweetwater, we went to this place called Cork and Cleaver that had a salad bar. And Ryan kind of made fun of me a little bit. Ryan does cooking. He's a Renaissance man. And I came back from the salad bar with like cottage cheese, strawberries, and they had jelly beans.
Jelly beans. Yeah,
And
which is the most Fort Wayne thing I can think of, is their salad bar having jelly beans at the end of it.
I'm not going to forget these, but I'm going to leave these right here. But
Yeah.
that became our thing, was that anytime I was in town, we'd eat some jelly
gotta have
beans.
jelly beans. So
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
you need to get your salad in.
That's
so.
right. All right, well, let's go into the studio. Let's just
For
go
sure.
check it out.
Awesome.
All right. So one of the first things here is that we have the ramp, because all of these rooms are floated, and so we had to get the elevation changed and make sure that it was ADA compliant. So that we have the ramp that's going up here, leading into this little airlock, and then we'll go into the control room. So it's been a journey getting to where the studio is today.
Yeah.
We met back in 2013 or 14, and you had attended GearFest, right?
Yeah.
And came to one of my seminars. That I
Yeah.
did. So
Yeah.
from there, you were looking to build this studio. And so, what was kind of the reason that you were wanting to build a space like this?
So I had my home studio, which just was great, but space.
Yeah.
That was it. I just trying to get the studio to work for what I was doing, in a space that just wasn't designed to be a studio, and having to switch over everything. Like, we record drums, we pull the drums out, we put instruments in, everything else. It was a nightmare. I mean, I was getting busy enough where I was like, I need the studio to stop getting in the way of what we're doing. So I was, and then once I knew that I was gonna want to do something, and I had seen you at GearFest, I was like, that's the guy. So I emailed you right when I knew, and emailed back real quick, and it was great. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when you first reached out, you you were on the hunt for a space. Like you didn't know where the studio was going to be, and so I love it when we get involved at that portion of the project, because sometimes we can prevent mistakes or things that, like, maybe it's not the right space. Which is what happened in your case.
Yeah.
You had another space you were looking at.
Right, and yeah, when you came in and did all the design, even like to that point, and then you called and you were just like, this isn't gonna work.
Well, I remember when it was kind of downtown Milwaukee area where that space was. And we walked in and it was just more of a corporate vibe. It was just like there was other businesses around, and so the first thing I think about is just sound isolation, like making sure that you're not going to disturb other people and they get upset and all of that. And but then also I do think about like artists coming in to a building like that, and making sure they feel at home and comfortable.
Right.
And
you know, I think it's a big difference between like the lobby of a building that also has like accountants and a magazine, or like the lounge that we have here.
So I always hate being the bearer of bad news, but sometimes I remember calling you and just saying, like, I don't know, I think that we pass on this one. And it's always tough to do that because you were so excited about the space, and rightly so, because you'd been looking for a while, and like, this is it. I found it. Had tall ceilings and things like that, but it just wasn't the one. Yeah, so I was so glad that we were able to move on from that space so that you could then find this one. I remember when you sent me pictures of this one at first, I was like, that seems ideal, because it's just a big open rectangle with no columns in the way. You know, we didn't have to. That's a lot of times when we're doing a layout, we're always like, if it's an existing space, we're compromising. Like we're just saying, okay, well, we got to work around this or work around that. This one was just a wide open canvas.
Yeah.
So since the last time I was here, you also did a lot of upgrades aesthetically in the room.
Yeah.
You know, like nothing that changed the acoustical performance, but just make the room look nicer. So before, these walls were yellow. There were no blue.
Yellow
they were
and blue together.
Kind of like the ceiling clouds here.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, it'd been 7 years, and it's kind of like, you know, it's time to do a little refresh, and, you know, things, you know, kind of not only just make it look a little bit nicer, but just kind of feel like, you know, the energy a little bit more. So, and I love that the Flex 48, they had the graphite color, and it just how it looked with the blue and the yellow. So I was like, let's do the walls.
I love it. Right? Yeah, you did a great job with it.
Yeah, it just, the energy feels great, and yeah, we love it. So we're gonna change over the rest of the corner traps to the graphite as well.
Nice.
Here in the next couple of months. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and with the isolation approach that we did here, it was wonderful because we were able to do full room within a room, and that's always gives you the best results, because you don't have we have a lot of mass in the structure, but then also you have decoupling, so there's no vibration transfer that's happening. And it's an undertaking, a lot of stuff, you know. Like
absolutely.
we have pictures of the process, and you know, it takes time to do it correctly, but at the end of the day, I mean, you build a beautiful space.
Yeah, it was all of that was worth it. Like, it was just from all the little pucks that we had to put just so nothing's touching the floor, to the fact that, like, every room, nothing touched each other, all the saw cuts, especially going on the top with all that OSB that we had to put up there and cut everything, and silicone. The amount of tubes of silicone that I had to buy was wild, right? But it all, like, it just, I mean, it was super worth it. So. Yeah.
That's great. So the talk a little bit about like the acoustical treatment that's in here. A lot of it you built yourself. You know, it's thick absorbers for the walls to hit first reflection points. We designed the room so that the walls are angled out, and so you don't have a parallel surface there to deal with. But there's absorption treatment, but then there's these wood slats on top of it to help bring some liveliness back to the room, so it's not so dead sounding in the space. We did that here on the ceiling too, to where the front cloud, the wood slats are pretty spaced far apart, because it's mostly just absorption here, but then the wood slats get a little bit closer together in the back of the room to bring some liveliness back to the space. We also, I know you hated it, but we had you build these diffusers instead of buy diffusers, and that's a lot of 4x4s that you had to cut down and build within this bass trap. So
right, but I mean,
sorry for that.
It was a terrible day having to cut all that down and then sand everything and glue it, but it looks amazing, it performs great, and I mean, obviously it saved a bunch of money too, trying to buy that stuff. So,
for sure.
And I'm pretty proud of the fact that like a lot of this stuff, you know, people come in like, wow, this looks great, and we're like, yeah, you know, we built most of the stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, we, you know, obviously there's a ton of isolation that had to happen in here, and you know, Nate was great working with you on building the structure. But then once it came to the interior stuff, it's like, you know, the fact that you were getting in there and building it, you just kind of make it your own.
Yeah,
Which
definitely.
is awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. Got corner bass traps, our typical soffit traps that we go around the perimeter of the room, just, you know, anywhere that we can help to trap bass and make it more even and consistent in here, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The layout, that's always a big part. Like kind of early on in the process, we figured out like, what kind of rooms do you want? Like how many rooms, the general size of them, what you're going to be doing in them. And so kind of arrived at a, I guess you can say 5-room, because there's the amp room as well, but there's the control room, 2 ISO booths, amp room, and the live room. And just sets you up to be able to do pretty much anything you want in here.
Oh yeah,
you know?
The studio really doesn't get in the way of the creative process at all.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't have any issues as far as space. Like I can have tons of people. We've had choirs and just like strings, horns, all that stuff. Like we can do pretty much anything, which is great. And then also isolation too. Like if, you know, a lot of times bands, they want to play together, especially, you know, rhythm stuff. Yeah. And we can find a way to make that work, no problem. Like I'm not compromising really anywhere. So
yeah. And I also love the sight lines in here are great. You know, you can see almost everything from this room. You can see through one room to the kind of dry vocal booth where it's more dead sounding, and then the other vocal booth is got Flex 48s from Acoustical Fulfillment, and it allows you to be able to tune the room on different applications, and then this center window goes straight to the live room, which is huge and you know, really versatile for what you'd want to do in there.
Yeah, it's great. Especially I can see if a lot of times I'll have the whole band in the live room, and then if there's going to be acoustic guitar or vocals, they'll be in the booths. Otherwise, you know, we can put amps and other things in there. They can all see each other. I can see everybody great, which is just so important though.
Yeah, and also having the amount of isolation that you can monitor on your speakers and not have that bleed into other spaces as well. So.
Absolutely. Or just, you know, someone wants to crank an amp super loud and it doesn't get in the way of if someone's recording vocals in this booth. I mean, it's certainly, you know, with the drums, like I don't ever have to worry about having a vocal that we might want to keep and the drummer at the same time if they're in the booth. Like they're keepers, and I compress. Like I, you know, like I got a lot of outboard gear and I want to use it. So it's the isolation's amazing, the rooms sound great, and you know, it just makes making music so much easier because it just sounds good on the way in. Right. And you know, from there, especially, you know, being this busy, I don't want to be trying to mix things forever. And you know, I want to make music. I want it to be good. I want to put it out, and you know, I don't want things to have to get in the way of it. So
and a big part of that too is you've upgraded to the Sneve console.
Yeah, that was a pretty exciting day when that came in, and really kind of changed my world and made not only the studio just look better too, which is just great because
console will do that for you.
You know, the clients come in and just, you know, their eyes light up and they love it. But then also just like how it works in my workflow and just the sounds I'm able to get and how much faster and easier I'm able to work. It's it's been amazing.
That's awesome. And then you've been working on ATC speakers for a long time. And, got those.
You know,
in here.
I feel like those are if you can get them sounding good on those, they just sound. Yeah, they're gonna sound good anywhere, and you know the room translates really well too. But the speakers they definitely work. And then you know getting the NS10 kind of thing. People so much listen to their music on the bottom of their phone, and that just like replicates what an iPhone or it does, where there's just no low end, like under 100 hertz is just gone. Yeah. So you know it's like get it kind of, especially with electronic music or hip hop, you can get them knock on those. You know it's gonna be pretty good.
What I love too about you is that you opened the studio in 2017, but you're like constantly improving it too. Like that, adding the Neve, and then at the same time, Mike Picotte from Sweetwater and Zane from Jumpers came in and did some upgrade of the wiring.
Redid a bunch of stuff with that. Not only just getting it sounding a little bit better and getting everything working, but then also like how I'm gonna be going into the future too. So adding like HDMI and Cat 6 and all these things, so I can then upgrade more, because like you said, it's always about evolving and getting better and continue moving forward, because you know, you can't just build a room and then be like, all right, I'm done.
Right.
You know, like things always change, music changes, technology changes, and also I feel like it's cool not only to reinvent things a little bit sometimes to keep things fresh and keep things exciting, but also you have to make things stay, you want it to stay looking really good.
Well, I think it shows too that you care, you know.
Yeah.
Not some places they don't do those upgrades, or they don't improve things because, you know, there's money and time and everything involved in that. But it's like, you know, you're constantly trying to make it good for all your clients that are coming in here. So
definitely.
Yeah. The one thing I always try to do in our designs is make the control room large enough.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes I'm sure that you experience that where everyone wants to hang out in here, and you've got a really nice space, but that helps also with the low end response of the room. Like it just can translate a lot better. And I guess how has that been working for you? Like the control room as far as translating out to other spaces?
Yeah, I would say that's one thing that really is super invaluable, is the fact that like if I get it sounding right in here, most of the time when I get in my car, it pretty much sounds the same.
Yeah.
And great. You know, that was something in the home studio where you do a mix and you go out to your car, and then you're like, all right, I got to change this and this. You go back to the car, whatever it might be. You know, we all have our things. I feel pretty good that I can send a rough mix to a client and without hearing it in my car, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's what it's gonna sound like. And I think that being able to trust your room is so important. It also just it makes things just quicker and easier, which is also, you know, being super busy like that is super valuable, right? Yeah, exactly.
Things. That makes sense. So do you mind giving us a rundown of like some of the gear that you have?
No,
I
absolutely.
mean, I think people are always excited to see that. So.
Yeah, you know, that's definitely one of my favorite parts of having a studio. So, you know, starting with the Rupert Neve Designs 5088, that's fully loaded with 32 channels of the 5052 mic pre and EQs, and then I got 9 of the 5051 EQ and compressors, which people sleep on those compressors a little bit, but they are absolutely amazing. And I try to tell people all the time how great those compressors are, especially on drums and electric guitar. This does have automation as well as transport control, so integrating into Pro Tools, it really makes mixing. I don't really even have to look at the screen much. And then, you know, on the left side, we got the Tube Tech, one of the go-to as far as vocal compressors go. On the right side is a lot of the sort of tuba stuff that we have here. More Rupert Neve Design stuff, the 5254 diode bridge compressor. I pretty much use that on most of my mixes. The Portico 2 Master Bus processor is really amazing. API 2500 and 5500, super cool. I usually use the 2500 on drums, and then the 5500 EQ. I'm kind of just using that as 2-bus. And then Bricasti M7, just awesome reverb. And Line 6 Echo Pro delay, it sounds kind of gnarly and a little bit dirty, but just probably use it on almost everything I do for vocals. Here, you see, kind of the classics, 1176, LA 2A, got some 500 series stuff. These Burl B1Ds and B1s are super cool. Manly Massive Passive, got the Kemper, which is really great for having a lot of like versatility and also just like really quick and easy dialing in some guitar tones. And then here, this V&E compressor from Hazelrig is probably my favorite piece of gear I've got in a long time. And then, yeah, everything just goes into Pro Tools with the Avid HDIOs, and all the talkback stuff is with, and monitoring through the hearbacks.
So when it comes to the interior treatment in the room, a lot of this you built yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you and Nate as well.
Yeah, I don't think I really bought anything. I think we pretty much.
I think it's just the Flex 48s.
Besides the Flex 48s, which are amazing.
That was a cool concept in here, is that we had 2 booths, and one, was set up for more of a dry environment. It's mostly absorption and bass trapping in there, and then the other booth is it's really I don't want to say flexible, but it is.
It's not just a clever name.
Yes, yeah, but the Flex 48 in there from Acoustic Fulfillment, it's you have those shields, you can add and remove them and change the way the room sounds. I mean, talk a little bit about like how you use that room.
Yeah, so that acoustic guitar and hand percussion, horns, strings, like usually I'll have people in there. And what I really like is I kind of get where I want them in the room and where I feel like it sounds nice, and I'll take like one or two of the shields off kind of right behind them. Yeah. And then from there, I just listen a little bit and I can take one or a couple of them off. Sure. But usually that's all I need. Yeah. And it's amazing how much like low end they control with all of them on there. So it's lively, but like it doesn't have any of that like weird buildup. It's pretty incredible, the fact that you really can tailor it exactly the way you want it to be without a lot of work. And you can just pop them on them off, see if something sounds better, and kind of roll with it.
I think that pretty much wraps up like a lot of the key features here in the control room. Let's go check out some of the ISO rooms and live room.
Yeah.
All right. So first we come into the ISO booth that is more of a dry and controlled environment. We designed 2 ISO booths here. One of them is this one. It's kind of more meant for vocals and just get a more controlled and kind of reflection-free type of sound. And so there's a lot of elements here again that you had to build yourself when it comes to these ceiling clouds and the soffit bass traps and these wall panels.
That one thing is just how controlled the sound is, and you can tell just even walking like how different your voice sounds. Sure. But it's when it comes to vocals, like having extraneous noise or any of that stuff, I mean, that's gonna ruin a recording. And it's just so important to get something super clean and just this is just perfect for what we're doing. And it's also big enough where there's versatility, where if you wanted to do some kind of like super dry 70s drum thing, you can get a drum kit in here and mic the whole thing up. I mean, there's more than enough room to do stuff like that.
Yeah, lots of space. Also, it's something to point out is like we do this a lot of times in our spaces is these mic plates here. And how they're proud of the wall. They're not sunken into the wall because that would hurt isolation. Right. But all the conduits pop up from the floor up into these boxes, and then they just sit there and give you easy access, which is nice. That's great. All right, so now let's just go across to the other ISO room. We're going from the room that's more dry into the what do you call this room? Do you call this?
It's sort of been unofficially dubbed the vibe room by people. So, we got LED lights here. You turn off the lights and it sort of just has this thing. I don't know, because of the diffusers or something like that too. People love it. Yeah. It just has a feel like some, vocalists, they try to come in here sometimes, do things, but.
And you can hear just talking, the difference in the liveliness in here.
Absolutely.
A lot of it is, we have the wood slats are a little closer, I believe, in this room than they were in that room. But then also these Flex 48s that are on the wall that allow you to, these shields can be added and removed very easily to be able to make it more lively or more dead. Yeah. And just gives you that ultimate like adaptability.
Absolutely.
You can change it how you want.
And you can like write down what shields are on and off, so if you're coming back again, it's like it's really easy to like get that sound again. It's perfect too, and it sounds great. Like the low end is just so controlled in here too. Like it's it's one of my favorite rooms in the space for sure.
So now the big room, right? Yeah. The live room, which is I do presentations all the time where I'm showing people your studio, and this is just a really nice large live room that sounds great.
That's the thing, is it sounds amazing, and we have enough space to do really anything we want.
Yeah, it's I can't remember exactly the square footage in here, but I think it's over 800 square feet or something like that.
I feel like I put like 1,200
down. That could be.
Yeah, right around there.
And so for having a live band in here, I mean, that's easy. You could have a 12-piece band in here and still be fine.
Yeah, we've had big choirs and like bunch of like strings and horns and stuff. Like, and there's never any issue with space.
So some of the elements in here, again, there's soffit bass trapping around the whole thing. thing, there's these barrel diffusers, which I had you build. They're essentially have brackets on both sides. They're kind of like the Flex 48, except this is plywood and it's also not going to move.
Right.
And so, but this shape, it scatters sound really well, but then it also is a bass trap, you know, and it helps to control some of the low end.
And it's really fun to say polycylindrical diffusion.
That's really the only reason we ever put it in there is to be able to say those types of words.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of absorbers sprinkled in as well, and big bass traps. I mean, this is a big room. It needs a lot of bass trapping, and so the vertical traps are, I think they extend 3 feet along each side wall, and then 45 across there. But ceiling clouds, you know, we have some areas like this one here, for instance, the width of the wood slats is pretty narrow, and then they're spaced close together. But then you have other ones where it's thicker and they're further apart. And so I just wanted to be able to make it so that you can move instruments around, get a different sound if you want.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, we usually just kind of walk around the room and see what works. Like, I know, like, if I'm kind of here, if it's like just some kind of like a solo horn or something like that, if I'm not in there, if they're in the big room, like, this is perfect. We just kind of, the piano it just worked there. And it actually, I was talking about this off camera a bit, like there's a few spots where if you're not where the clouds are, that the way it works, like if you're right here, and you put a room mic for drums, it has this sort of like low frequency energy that kind of builds up, and it just sounds awesome. You know, so there's so much flexibility both with the clouds and then you know, in those little spots. So
I love it.
And it's just great because basically the room is a million different things just by walking around, so there's so much flexibility.
Well, I remember, man, it seems like forever ago because it kind of was, but probably 2016 or so, I came and did acoustical testing of the space where it was just drywalled off at that point. And I remember we did testing in every single room, and you know, obviously when there's no treatment in the space, I mean, the reverb time in here was like 3 or 4 seconds long. I mean, it was just decaying forever. But like right now, it's a really, you know, consistent tail on there, but it's not overbearing, so it allows you to do whatever you'd like in here. Again, just like in the ISO booth, we have this mic plate here, and all of these were done by Zane at Jumpers, right?
Yeah, he designed everything with me. It was great, you know, just you know, able to really figure out. He's like, all right, what do you need? What do you want to do? Like, what's your space need? And he came back with everything, and then they came and installed him and Mike Picotte. They ran all the wires and did all that stuff. And
Zane's great. He's worked on a bunch of our projects, and he just always just gets exactly what the client needs.
For sure, and like I pretty much use all of his cables as far as our XLRs and instrument cables and stuff. They're just perfect, and I couldn't be happier with everything that he's done. So
that's awesome. You got a couple of pianos in here. I remember when you first were opening the studio, you had a piano that you've just found on the side of the road, like someone was getting rid of, but that apparently wasn't very salvageable. It
unfortunately would not hold any kind of tune, and it would have been an amazing story, right? That we have this like side of the road River West piano.
I didn't know that you would upgrade, so I keep telling people that you have a piano in there. It's still in the photos on our website and stuff. So, but these are great. I mean, you have the Yamaha here.
Which I love the fact that you can just put MIDI into it and it'll play it back for you. You know, because it's like sometimes you're really good at writing piano parts, but you don't really play, you know, especially some of these like younger kids who are producing, making music and things like that. And then it's like, all right, well, I can take your MIDI performance, I can put it through the piano, mic it with our mics and our console, and you know, then you have it, and then you can just put it back in your computer and do that. And then we have two pianos that sound very different too.
And then back in here, we have it's kind of another entrance into the space, but also an amp room.
And sometimes storage.
Sometimes storage,
so we have enough room where we get all our cables and things, but we can also mic up amps, and usually bass cabs end up living in here. I don't know why. It's just like, it just sounds good for that. But
and what's great too about this, I remember when we were designing the space with the architect, you know, we had to have 2 points of exit, you know, to meet code in here. So this gave us another exit, but also that airlock could be utilized for something else too.
Yeah, because if we have, and that hallway too, going to the control room, also is mic'd up,
Yep.
or has the ability to mic things up as well. So we have a lot of flexibility in there.
That's awesome. So I'm here with Nate Churchill from NC Hammer Carpentry, and we're in the live room. This is a space, I mean, all the space you built, right? And so you were tasked with having to take these plans that we put together and make it a reality. So what was that like for you?
At first, it was kind of overwhelming, but some of the challenges were building a floor on an out-of-sloped old bottling company warehouse floor.
Yeah, it wasn't even at all. Yeah.
No, but as soon as we established perfect level for the floor system, everything else just kind of followed suit and went together perfectly. It was nice working hand in hand with Ryan directly every day as my #1 helper. So it's kind of nice just to get answers immediately when you need them from a client.
Yeah.
It was nice having Gavin available at any point to answer any questions. And then the architect, Chuck Western, he was readily available to answer any questions, and so everything went smoothly. And
it was a really solid team. I mean, Chuck was great to work with too, because you know, he was able to help us, because every place has different local codes that we had to adhere to, and also get plans that were able to be permitted. And so, yeah, that's it's a big undertaking. I mean, I know I got update photos a lot of times, but I wasn't here in the trenches the whole time, and you were just doing a great job. And every time I saw a photo, it's like, yep, that's there wasn't anything that had to be redone, or yeah, you pretty much knocked it out of the park. Well, thanks again, Ryan, for having us here at High Five Studios. It's just a joy to come back here and see you doing well, and seeing the studio being really busy. So thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.